Yeah. We're good with the link. So some music.
My dear. Hello. Hello. Take me back to the slide so that I can attend to their questions.
So we have 1 hour to engage.
Not me, oh.
Do we still give us a time? Yes. Yes. All right. So you have another 15 minutes.
Yes, yes. That's the question.
So that you can look conversation and
Oh.
So when it comes to gender stereotype, however, I want to make one comment to the presentation in general. The PowerPoint to a PowerPoint. Okay, that's your audience.
Thank you.
Then number 2, single mothers. I saw your conceptual saying women raising children outside the marriage. And you are lumping all of them, they do not constitute emotional category. Single mother means the kind of shaming a widow gets is not the same as a neighbor marriage.
Okay.
And then different from that of neighbor marriage and divorce or separated single.
Okay.
So I want you to engage your data and make your clarification. The neighbor marriage and was taken out. The widows have things right? And then the divorce are also and the divorce as neighbor marriage. So you unite it.
Thank you, Ma. Yes, sir.
The question relates to the regional perspective you brought to the analysis and the connections you made between Southwest and Yoruba consistently representation. You equate Southwestern Nigeria with Yoruba and Yoruba with Southwestern Nigeria. And the details of the explanation shows that Yoruba, if you have to follow, I'm not being a Yoruba nationalist here, that if you have to follow some things from Yoruba tradition, do not quite agree with the trends in women shaming, like Omani, for example. It's a child born to parents not married. It's not illegitimate. To be called a child born by a woman who is not married does not mean that the child is illegitimate. In Yoruba, it doesn't mean illegitimate in Yoruba. In southwestern Nigeria today, it means illegitimate. So that's that distinction that I was looking for between southwest today, Nigeria, and Yoruba. Even Yoruba too is so complex and diverse. It's difficult. I was not able to pick out the Christian monotheistic impositions from Yoruba impositions. So again, maybe that's one of the African. I'm not a Yoruba nationalist, and I don't say anything wrong with that. But I am not. That's not my perspective. I'm really asking whether Southwest today is no longer Yoruba, as we used to think of it, and Yoruba is not just Southwest. Yoruba is Yoruba in Brazil, Yoruba in New York, Yoruba in Cuba. So I'm all over. And there are Yoruba, who try to Yoruba in different ways. So that's what I'm asking for to see. There are Yoruba women who do not agree with allegedly Yoruba ways, both in the Southwest and outside of Southwestern Nigeria. Like the previous speaker noted, that clarifications, that layering might be very, very useful in understanding the variety. But I do not disagree with the online bullying. What online bullying is different things.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, don't be responsible. Thank you for the I don't know what you have in mind with your foundation. In those categories you're studying. Is it concentrated on celebrities? Because if you're talking about online bullying of single man, single parents, or single women, it's usually among those celebrities. Usually, other categories will not usually go online to
Yes.
private life. So where do we have the frequency of these activities going on? If there are celebrities in money, then you may have to let it be evident in the topic. If not, they have to establish that there is frequency of these activities among other categories of children and not non-celebrities.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
What she's saying, your methodology is not good. I didn't see that I didn't want to talk. So you have to see that my methodology.
Okay, please let me just, talk on the three, then we take the next set. Okay, ma, thank you very much for that insight. Okay, like I said at the beginning that I want this work to be, advanced, and that is why I brought it here so that great scholars here can help my work. Now, when I talked about Southwest, I agree that maybe there should have been like an ethnographic study, and then where I will just situate my work in a particular contextualize it. But what I was thinking, what I had in mind was Southwest Nigeria in the 6 western states, Lagos, Ibadan, not those in Benin or even Cuba that you just mentioned, sir. And then again, insights too will also help this work, because I also discovered that the people I am working on are celebrities, though they are Yorubas, in Southwest celebrities. So I will rework that. And then the methodology too is what, when I do that, I will also put it in. Now for the PowerPoint, I had a presentation yesterday, and I did a rush work, so to say. So I'm sorry about that. I will improve with time. So can we take the next? Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Very important and germane to the problems. It's something that born as a nation. I want to look at the session where you think there's want to be done.
Okay, sir. Please go to that slide. Conception framework.
On the conceptual framework, especially as that with widow and single mother. In the Yoruba epistemology, we know if we want to go way back into the pre-colonial area, that we really do not have this kind of stigma that we have now when it comes to single mother. We never had this kind of homoeopathy, the derogatory manner that we now have, which you mentioned, very funny. So I think your clarification, we should guard the framework of methodology, will guard in that aspect to clarify online bullying that has to do with the trajectory of our history as Yoruba people and the knowledge that has been and what it has been, what has come into right now with the influence of modernity and Western religion, the two religions, what I call the 7th century Semitic religion, that's Christianity and Islam, and how that has deviated That's epistemology, knowledge of the Yoruba people are start dealing with single mother, widows, and then
Divorce.
Divorce and children themselves.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
In addition to that,
Yes,
I
sir.
also want to suggest that recognize because what this is today,
It was then.
It's almost every 10 years, almost every new dynamics to this concept. Single mother moved in the early 90s. No, it's so people don't change that agreement. So that over time, changes to this concept.
Thank you, sir. Let's take late. Come to you.
It's about the nature of the suggestions we are getting. Can you talk about what the finished product is for this project? Is it a book? Is it an
Article, ma. Article.
that will also shape how
Yes.
how far you can get some of these suggestions?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the presentation. I enjoyed it. I just want to know why you decided to give it your the cost was changing to outlet for a year, and whether it's also possible that while we are pursuing online, I immediately get some person out of that already in that sense. Pursuing is it's a little art culture itself without necessarily, of course, possibilities. What happens online? What happens online is in what goes on in day-to-day, experience. So, I'm just wondering why was one of the what goes on online and why it's limited to South because taking it online almost the lines. If somebody can be you have a from Japan and it's assuming someone that's illegal that is also a Nigerian because of the cultural attitude that has been taken to where he or she is so the nation. I don't know by that.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
That is our work. That is the area where she studies. I think, I think let me put it simply this way. The methodology of the work on what she has said is online. There is in studying this kind of thing, because this is you are looking at behavior. If you want to study behavior physically, in interaction with ourselves as we had, we can do it. You can, your study can actually be confined to that. If your work was be confined to online as a reflection of what happened, you can also do that as well. So that you can look at it from you can study what happens online since your data will be sorted from what happens online. So she has that.
That very correct. You might not make it. When you know that's not gets that out from different areas, and you should be not mathematics. Hold on now.
Let him so.
Do you mean I don't think you
Come, please go.
then you now say this is the reason why I'm focusing on this.
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm all right, that's makes sense. I'm not asking us
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Let me just respond to you. Now, I worked on a project on cybercrime. Are you getting it, sir? I worked on a project on cybercrime, the gendered aspect of cybercrime. So, and then I came about the conception of this work. go into the online space and then look at how women are being oppressed or bullied, yeah, so to say. Thank you. I appreciate your insights. Yeah. Alaja.
I have a question regarding this. Since you are connecting your data and online, and you are limited your scope to Southwest, I believe that the social media space is kind of the gender and kind of are you expecting or are you trying to get responded? People commenting on social media that can be from different cultural backgrounds and not necessarily be from the southwestern part of the country. Everybody can make comments on slut shaming and all that. So I was just trying to kind of rationalize this. And again, in some another aspect that I think would be quite interesting is that people with slut shaming, you see this that sometimes we have this complicity from the family gender that females do, slut shame all that.
I've mentioned that.
I
mentioned that.
So I think it's something we may want to look into.
Okay, so thank you very much. I've noted that. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I have one or two observations. It's going to be okay. Let me start from my friends at the grave and also my person is for now. I understand your point of view. I don't know. I'm not coming from the physical area. So I'm from cultural and media studies. Actually, this CME. So you can imagine where I'm coming from. I'm where I'm coming from. There are two things when it comes to, online, people in the ethnography. So when you're collecting your data, there are so many things you can use. One of them, if we will tag this now, people use online. We will call it ethnography because it's a community on its own. And it's a huge community and it's a recognized one. So when you go ethnographically, there is almost nothing you cannot do because it's also a reflection of what happens ethnographically. When you do ethnographic studies, that's when you go home, you visit the villages or you visit even the cities. You are involved with the people, you are studying with them, you probably eat with them, drink with them, to gather your information and data or whatever you want to call it. Some people, that they will say that's worry. But for your information, it's not real. It depends on what you are working on. Yes. And what you have on ground. Because it's when you have ethnography, there are a lot of things you realize that you have. Your data to be rich. Yes, it's not everyone that is online. Maybe the village women are not online. We've forgotten one or two things. These village women have children like us. Yes, these may be single mothers. So I may come from a broken home. And I'm not living in the village. I think I'm educated. So I just my English. So obviously I'm online, you understand? And I can share probably my aunt's stories, my mother's stories. So it goes out there. And then I want you to consider something else. That's the success story too. A lot of times when we do things like this, we say, oh, women are being vindicated, men are being honored, and all kinds of things. And I think sometimes as Africans, we should also always work with the success stories. You mentioned somebody, I think you teach Mark. Yapo, for example. Oh, yeah, now Yapo is a great lady, recognized and most well. I think everyone can be starting a research. But I mean, it seems most people are celebrating now. If what you knew, what Alice must have gone through, what to get the way she is now, and she's being so-called celebrated or applauded. Why? Not because she has money, but because she raised her daughter and she raised her daughter well in quotes. But because she also allowed the relationship, with the father over children, what they had, didn't seem to spill over to the children. That is not in a negative way that we know now. And so everyone is supporting her. She was punishing that is in her life. We feel that we are not trying to remember now. She was not a single mother. I forgot that the man she had 2 children for has family. And what do you think? Have you recently married out her daughter? And so many people were saying so many terrible things online. She was not even applauded. In fact, and some family members came out to say a lot of things. Well, I don't know. Fortunately and unfortunately, I live in Ibadan. And I knew Tokalabi when she was not yet this known. You understand? And she went through a lot of abuse from the man. I was there. There are some things that I even say here now because it's a personal life. I will never wish that on any woman or any person. And yet, when she married her daughter, and I saw something, if I had to close, I stopped listening, watching, and reading. Because, they were not there. I was there. Did you understand? So many terrible things have been said about her instead of applauding her and applauding the man who took the girl in. Do you understand what I'm saying? Well, we have some success stories, like I said, like Ibadan seems to be a success story. And for your information, if you look at this Christian, she had an interview after the wedding of her daughter, Priscilla. And in that interview, Prockman, she was saying something, she mentioned something, one of the things she mentioned was that how would she allow a relationship, between the father of her children and her children, that she was lucky because there was no abuse that would have reflected on the children. Some people, the reason why they left is because of the abuse, and they have to live that die anyway. You understand? Everyone lives for different reasons. She said the reasons she left were reasons that would not, affect the children. Not again, the kind of person the husband was. The children were not going to suffer anything if they had the relationship with him. That she realized that it was herself and the man who had problems. And since it was not going to be right on the children, that it would be selfish of her to deprive those children, that what she could give them. There are some aspects the father took maybe. So she said the man would walk into her house anytime, call her and say, I'm going on a vacation next week. I will want my children to go. She said, even if she was not at home, she said it publicly. She said the man would come into her house, pick those children, and go. She said all her family members not only kids against it. The world then stood against her and friends. And she kept on telling them that her head was continuing. Sometimes she happy that in English. Very soon, you will come to appreciate God and pray. My children will thank people. She was happy because her own story was good enough to have a relationship with the father of her children. Now, after that, she now said something. She said online that people should be very careful. Those who have children and the fathers are not in them. That if you are in a situation where it's not healthy for your children, for God's sake, don't encourage it. When you have a father who's why would you want to push your daughter there? You understand? But that if you are sure that the relationship with the father is not going to be solved by anything, and that yours will not be a spillover to affect your children's life, he said, don't be vindictive enough to defend your children of a relationship with their father. You understand? I hope you get what I'm saying. What she said. She said, and that she knows that many single mothers who are now in the situation are listening. I don't know how this, but a few weeks later, we said now something came up. Imagine came out. The Imagine came out. You know that Sophia and Davido have been having issues over this girl. And Imagine is supposed to be the flower girl, but you took like so like the correlation, but now Imagine seems to be back. And the most of as Sophia said something. She said she learned something, that she has issues with Davido.
All right.
But the daughter did not have.
All right. We would like to give you for other questions.
Dr. Adeyeye.
Thank you very much. I tell you that that's basically and of course the duty of this is that we open up the conversation and saying and just the relate contributions of our part in general. And as you issues like this, especially when you are discussing cases and scholars, we should try to put as possible sensuality or
Emotion.
what I can say about parochialism to knowledge. People sexualize it in not the case. Having long without seeing associates, it's inappropriate for us to get a larger issue. After this now, that's why I want to include that if we rely solely on online, the majority on that.
I didn't.
Majority on that. To the extent that we have methodology. At the same time, even for the southwestern Nigeria, southwestern Nigeria was online. Online is a global place. By the time you do southwestern Nigeria and you say you are doing online, you have conflict in your methodology. So you can look at how to combine those skills together. Then I want to ask you a question. Although I am not able to present the whole issues, they must try to spread out this issue in the scope of the meeting. So I also want to ask if you do anything about the hoping that this is a single moment. Because we cannot shy away from the fact that the issue of more than is getting to an alarming state, but then put the social crisis back now. The single mothers are what they are so effective because I'm aware of a backward growing thing in which single mothers are formed WhatsApp groups. Several WhatsApp groups by some single mothers and through that WhatsApp group shall be looking for a community through which they help and through which they are able to get your teams along with them. Well, that's like thinking. I would have loved also to talk about the biological the coping mechanism as biology, not the biology, but the chemistry.
All right, sir.
Let me stop.
You wanted to say something. She wants to.
I love you. Hi, everyone. This is an excellent presentation. I did this for our own, which has done up from university. I just want to, I went to your chair yesterday. I'm also very excited to be here about the work that you're doing. And I want to just, ask you about, whether you're considering, thinking about the issue of choice, right?
Choice.
Mothers, but there are a lot of like choices to actually want to have children and even different assistive technologies and so. So I'm just curious if that is also part of your conversation.
Thank you. Well, I didn't consider because I know that recently I got to know that there are some women who decide that they don't want a man in their lives. And then there's a sperm donor, permit me to use the word, a sperm bank, so to say, where you go and then just like a blood bank. And then you go there and I want to have my baby. And there are samples that you can choose from. And then they do what they do. I don't know what they do medically. And then you have your child. And then you are just on your own. You can do one, you can go for two, and then you decide to just take care of your children on your own. And those are new technologies. I wasn't looking in that direction. Anyway, I was looking at the cultural dimensions to that work, though I didn't look at it how it was then, how women as single mothers were being treated in pre-colonial Yoruba times then in comparison to now. So I see that there's still a lot of work to do in this paper. And I want Prof, to the two profs must talk. Professor Adeshino, then Professor Oyewumi, so that you help my work. Okay, before them. Yes, ma. Yes, ma. Yes.
In terms of feminist philosophy,
yes, ma.
quoted two scholars that I follow that's Professor Nemeka and Professor Oyewumi. I considering the session, the title of the session. I was wondering if you could speak to how Professor Oyewumi's work has influenced the ways that you approach this research, and some of the philosophies that you quoted, some of the stuff that you thrown in here that's really connected to my work as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, in the aspect, please go back to that slide, African feminist philosophy. Now, in the invention of women. Now, Oyewumi mentioned that gender construction, came about through colonialism, and at the pre-Yoruba time, there was nothing like gender construction. And also, we had women. What we had was a class system. Within the household, we had Iyale, Iyawo, Iyokomi stuff, and that depicts that there was a form of there was a communal bonding between those women. The Iyale knows her place, the Iyawo knows her place, and then the women were treated alike, which signifies African communalism and the setting within the Yoruba family. So I'm now looking at it that if that is the case, then it means that women, okay, having that in mind, we should look within these women and then just look for a way of supporting them. Like I said, before judgment, okay, you care for them. So I'm looking at it in that direction. Just like I said the work is still in progress. Yes. Basically, maybe inspiration will come as we ask our questions.
Thank you very much. How we have please. Not after just talking,
So thank you very much for that presentation. And you'll be proud of yourself. Because you generated so much discussion. And okay, here. One of the first things I wanted to say.
Yes, ma'am. Let me come where I can see your face.
And then you spoke. But I think I need to reiterate it.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you should read the invention of women. That's my starting point. Especially if you're going to be dealing with what you call Yoruba social norms and all that. You have to have this. And I could talk about so many things. And I don't want to talk, but I could be able to be constructive so that it can point you in certain directions.
Yes.
So I think those critiques of the conceptual framework and the need for you to focus on concepts and clarify concepts is so important. Remember yesterday when you told me that you were in this land?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I said, what were you presenting? And you told me the title. What did I say?
It kept me wondering. You said, how do they know they are single mothers?
You see online, right? You're dealing with the virtual world. Even in the streets, how does somebody know you're single? And then the person will ask for the clarification how to treat videos. Who knows the video from? You won't be the accent of a particular community. That's one thing. Then if you read Oyewumi, there were people in the room who have read Oyewumi. Or Brazil, people come and do it so much, they say something, and I'm like, okay, did I say that? And they're all wondering. I don't get that here. Because one of the first things I wanted to say is to say that, Oyewumi says that single mother is an oxymoron. in our context. How can a person be single? The concept of single mother in and of itself is Eurocentric and patriarchal. And I wrote about that. That in many of our cultures, the mother-child unit is the couple. When we talk about couple, it's a unit. Because when you are married these days, especially, you don't have a child. People are not wanting to couple you with a man. So when you start interrogating concepts, even if you start from single mother, it leads you to the question of the conception of the family, the structure of the family. And you need to deal with that. Once you start dealing with the conception of the family and the structure of the family, it immediately brings into account the issue of social change. Part of what is going on here are the changes that have taken place in our society, and they continue to. So reducing it to Yoruba norms, and as Professor Adieko was asking, how do you separate Yoruba norms from the Christian, from the Muslim, and all that? We have to think about the conception of the family. And when you think about the conception of the family, people in an Agbole, were they single mothers? What does it mean? What does it mean to talk about single mother? You're never single because you have your child. And indeed, traditionally, you were not even divorced. Because I remember when I was doing invention, one of the questions I had to ask myself, what is the meaning of divorce in Yoruba society? When you have a child into one family, you're never divorced. You're never divorced. That was the conception. I'm not saying those changes haven't taken place. You're never divorced. Because in collecting my data, I saw women who were already married to other men, but they had children here. When that husband dies, they leave their new husband's house. They'll say, "Oh, and I asked, but isn't the new husband quarreling? They said, no, that's the tradition. And then you need to look at some of the classic work on Yoruba marriage and divorce. There's one by Lloyd on Ibadan, since you're coming from Ibadan. And it's so instructive because it documents women divorcing in the 40s, in the colonial period. They'll say, what is Jawi Foko? They're leaving husband's house. And the funny thing is that they're leaving, but they're not setting up anywhere else. They're going to another man's house, meaning that they were having what people might call adulterous relationships. It was normal. The problem that the families had, and Lloyd documents it well, is that women who were moving to new husbands, some of them were pregnant already. And the family that they were leaving said, well, you can go. However, that child is ours. So what do all those norms tell us about Yoruba norms, behavior, and all that? And how does it compare to now, rather than just calling it Yoruba norms? And much of the research that was done in many Yoruba communities, Ibadan, for example, you see women, they have 5 children. They keep moving. And so you are focusing on Iyabo Ojo, celebrity. Ordinarily, when you walk into Balogun Market, 90% people women are not thinking they're single parents or whatever. Where's the husband? Who is asking? I have been to different weddings
lately in Lagos, elite Yoruba weddings, elite Yoruba women. And on 2 different occasions, I've asked this question. We're all sitting at the table, we're eating, and some of them get up to advise the bride, especially since the bride is the daughter of our friend. And then I look around the table, none of us, these elite women with big jobs and whatever money, none of us are in husband's house. Including me, by the way, proudly. None of us. So I don't even have to talk. I have to observe that kind of situation. What does it say? So what I hear is the pathologization of women. Oh, now they have a WhatsApp group. And these people are going about their lives. Some of the most highly achieving people don't even have any husband at home. But do you know that? Do you know that? They just live their lives and keep going, and they raise their children and all that. So we should be very wary of pathologizing, really, as if this is the preoccupation. You know, the preoccupation of men and women is feeding their children, raising their children without impediments. And this has always been a Yoruba situation, and it still is, but those changes are taking place. And I won't talk further because there's so much to say, but I want to direct you again to social institutions. And I invite you, please read Oyewumi, because I have looked at some of these institutions. You quoted a line in which you said, people will say, you better stay with your husband. You can't come back home to do Oshu, Dale Moshu. You know, Ile Moshu was a revered institution. It's part of our norm that if you get married and you want to go back home, you go back home. Period. It was legitimate. It was not. It was accepted. In fact, there's also something called terminal marriage in many African societies, including Yoruba. After people have been married for so long, they say, I'm going back home. I'm not quarreling with you. The children are grown. Those things were legitimate. So in my work, part of what I trace is how did some of these institutions become illegitimate? Christianity, Islam, and most importantly, the one we're not talking about, the fact that men are the beneficiaries of the colonial Western system. The men don't want you to come home with your children because you are going to fight for the inheritance. So those are real big fundamental foundations that one must start on if you're going to attribute certain social norms to particular cultural groups. However, if you're doing a more different kind of study, virtual and all that, it becomes tricky attributing something to one group or the other. So those are some of the things I'm seeing. Okay.
So there's a question. Sorry, there's a question on what Pop has already answered. Please, is there a similarity or connection between the concept of single motherhood and the Yoruba concept of Ile Mushe?
It's a conversation you had, but
between single motherhood and single motherhood is a very contemporary term, very colonial. And so at my age now, am I Ile Moshu? Because I never left home as far as I was concerned. Even though I've been married, divorced, and all that. You get what I'm saying? Ile Moshu, I think in its institutional sense, is such an important institution for women, for families, for the liberation of women. Because if we took Ilemoshu seriously, then we would not have to create domestic batterers shelters. The whole idea of people having shelters for women who are running and being battered is a result of coming from societies where you couldn't go back home. But we could, at least theoretically. But now there's a lot of poverty, people moving around. So I don't want to create a utopia. But what I want us to do, and I want us to pay attention to, is I always come back to this question, because I'm not going to get into some of the arguments from males and females, women are this and that. The question always is, what sorts of society do we want to live in? If you are a man talking vociferously, women should kneel down, whatever, I would ask you the question, would it be okay for your daughter to be a bride at 12? So we must think of, we want to transform our society at many levels. So that must be the question. And for me, one of the things that going into history and culture does is to identify some institutions, some practices that we can bring forward and use to make life better. So for me, the idea of Ilemoshu is a wonderful one, and we must fight for it. We must not concede. Part of what I'm seeing with a lot of our feminist discourse, especially in Africa, is that we are conceding too much. They say women can't talk, but you're not highlighting all the women who are talking down Balogun Market and who are going from here to there and moving mountains. So what about those? And as they say, that's my philosophy of the production of knowledge, especially on gender. You're not going to concede. Men are sitting on us, and the men are, yeah, we do. Men are, go into the history, go into the culture, and see the ways in which people had agency. They still have agency, because Nigeria today is a very difficult place to live. You can't even put food on the table. What's the food on the table? Let me stop by saying that I was fascinated last night. I came across the Steez guy, Ojudioba. Yeah, Oriawa. And I was looking at his interview. And at some point, he was tearing up. He said his father died when he was 4, and his mother never remarried. There were 2 of them. He said, I went to King's College. You know what that means? My sister went to Queen's College, and she was the head girl in Queen's College. And she said, throughout our growing up, we lived in a boys' quarters, but nobody knew. But my mother put food on the table. I will never do anything to disgrace my mother. And when you start talking again and again to men, to women, in Yoruba society, that is what you see. Was the mother preoccupied that I'm a single mother? People are part of the larger family. And so when we take single mother to the level at which they are taking it in the West online, we have totally erased the base. I'm not saying that some people are not trying to. I'm not saying that it's easy, but we must. When I say that, we must think from where we're standing. That is what I mean. And we must pay attention to our own episteme. Where did it start from? How are we evolving? And what would be our contributions to make a better society? That's how I think about it.
I'm sorry. I'm deeply sorry. We cannot take any questions anymore. You can engage the speaker or you can engage Prof after now. Thank you so much. Who would have thought that one panel, one panelist would like us to. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much, everyone. And with your permission, Ma, can I close this panel?
Oh, please do.
All right. So this panel is rendered closed. Thank you very much.
Please see if there's something I can do before. Yes. It's true. Yeah. And I'm trying to see if there's something I can. Since I'm here, it's at 12, right? 12:45. 12:45. Okay, yes, 12:45. Okay, 12:45 start. You did send me the picture.
No, I had an issue with my laptop. Because I will send it today.
They are posted down.
Yes, I put no because I had to.
Okay, so we want to take pictures. And oh, okay. We can stay here.
No.
Oh, okay.
Elsewhere, the other will back and back.
Yeah. Don't worry. Oh, you can. We have to come down and then
Did you come home? My first one, yeah.
Sorry, can you move closer? Closer. No, not you.
It's true. I see you. Yeah, I think so. Okay. No problem. Talk like you can't teach now. We have to take all the teachers' points.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. What if wants a personal one? Okay. Did I get this is my book? I believe. Yes.
So I don't have a question. I saw a post online recently, and they were like, why do we always have single fathers, talk about single fathers? Why do we have women taking the lead and why not the
We should shame the whole of the male population. Men have become so derelict of duty in the last 120 years because they get away with murder in ways they didn't get away with tradition. That's why. Are you yours?
Yes.
Today, when I say today, the last 120 years, we live in places where they'll say, oh, do or love to violence, men are taking their responsibility to the consequence for a man when they abdicate contribution to his children. So widespread, it is so deep. Consequences, that's why. It's very little. That's my answer. I may not agree with it, but that's my answer. Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
When is the next panel? I want to
There's a lot of someone and gender and patriarchy in Nollywood.
okay, we start on page 90. No, 96. 96. There was one thing I wanted yesterday, but I don't know where to find it. It's a round table on a book on big men.
Oh, yes.
You know, I think I was
I know that with the
why
I saw the has happened. Oh, you know we can do that. Was it yesterday?
I looked for it yesterday.
There's a flyer about it.
Oh, for the name in Africa. Yes, I was online. Yes, okay. Language, tradition, aesthetics, and modernity. Oh, 200 years of Yoruba culture. That's an interesting one. Okay, let's see what else. I say.
They have a lot of interesting panels for talking about. I don't see the big men.
And then in the program, you couldn't say you know, usually,
I'll search it. I wonder if it was earlier today. Let me search the.
Okay, yes, actually. Okay. Let me give you my number. All right. So pictures.
And if I get them, I'll make sure.
The official picture.
I'll make sure you get it.
This is the official picture taker.
Yes.
So you should be sending me some.
Yes, ma'am.
My email is equality for Africa. Email.com. But you didn't send it. Equality. F-O-R. All African.
I can't think what you have. I understand you feel that. I understand. Oh, okay. So, it happened yesterday. Well, it's my big man. It happened at 12:45.
Oh, there's nowhere to go.
Okay. Yeah, because
Sorry, can I get it?
I had a panel at the same time.
Well, also meets leaders, an African feminist philosophy of language.
No, I'll get the.
Okay, that's
Oh, no, that's
3:45. Yeah, I have a panel at
I
3:45.
think my own panel is there.
Yes.
But I think I am is interested in the Yoruba principle.
Okay.
Yoruba music and music of Yoruba. No, I think the Yoruba French culture gets 200 years. It's B107.
Just email it to me, please.
Okay.
And I'll make sure she gets hers too. B107. So
it's
down here. Oh, 107.
This is
here.
108. It's
107. It's right here.
So people, is it good toilet that can pick?
Where's the best toilet to be? I think they said use the lecturer.
Yes, so you can show us that and show me that. Won't be terrorized by
Yes, ma'am. Okay.